Hi there, Day Music here, also known as Ulrich or Paw Inspector, and welcome to the second video of my ZGameEditor Visualizer tutorial series. We will be covering ZGE Visualizer's video wizard feature to quickly create videos. I anticipate this video being a short one, but I figure I should probably cover this feature in a quick video should anyone be interested in what it is, what it does, and how it works. If you want to make a quick music video or audio visualizer for your FL Studio song and don't want to fuss with a full video editing program, you might consider using the ZGameEditor Visualizer plugin in FL Studio, especially once you realize that using ZGE Visualizer within FL Studio allows you to link certain effects directly to audio from your mixer tracks to have certain effects only react to certain instruments or sounds in your song. Now, if you open ZGE Visualizer and you have no clue what you're doing, so you decided to watch my first video in the series and you realize that you hated that video, I talked way too long and provided you with way too much information and you just simply don't have the time or the effort to figure out everything about ZGE Viz just to make an audio visualizer. Or if you just want a quick video for your song, you know, whichever scenario fits you, ZGameEditor Visualizer offers a video wizard that you can use to quickly make your video for you with little to no effort required. Yes, literally little to no effort, and here's why. I have here a song I've been working on for a little while now. I'll probably finish it eventually, but for the sake of this video, I've decided I wanted to release a video of the work in progress build just so that I can get the song out there and update my fans on what I've been up to and what they can look forward to. You know? I don't really want to go all out on this video because this isn't a finished song, but I just want something quick to go with the song so that there are some interesting visuals to emphasize the song. With ZGameEditor Visualizer loaded in on the master channel rack, it will load a blank default project, of course. Before doing anything to this blank project, we're going to go right here and click on the wizard button, which will open another window. This is the video template wizard. Now remember when I said with little to no effort? Well, I meant it. When you open the wizard, a video is made for you instantly and you're done right there, just like that. If you want everything to be the default preset, of course. But hey, maybe you just really did want whatever video just so that you can have something. Well, at the bottom of the window, you could press continue to render and save video, and you'll notice a couple of things. First, you might notice that the video export settings window opened, and you truly are ready to export your finished video right now. Second, you might notice behind the export window that your ZGameEditor Visualizer workspace became populated with effects, and the preview window now has the video playing on it. That's it. You've done it. You made a video with what I would consider absolutely zero effort. Yay! But let's run it back real quick. Let's say you want to put just a little bit more effort than that. This default video doesn't really match the tone of the song, and you'd like to change that. Or you were planning on releasing this short whip onto your TikTok, so you wanted a portrait style video. Well, let me hit cancel on this export window and I'll reopen the wizard. Don't worry, we don't need to worry about the effects it added to the ZGE Viz workspace. These will be rewritten with the new video's effects. Now, I think I may have misled you slightly. If I'm not mistaken, because I was clicking on things before I started recording, my video wizard started up on the last preset I had clicked on. There's a chance when you open the video wizard that you will start on the None preset. This is as default as you can get. If you want to start off with this, you absolutely can. Since there aren't really a lot of options here, it shouldn't be too difficult to create your ideal video from this. If you want to get rid of the "this is the default text" message, simply change the identification option, and whatever you have written in your song title, author, and comment slots will update. For this project, I filled in these fields in the Project Info tab in FL Studio so that these fields will be auto-filled from there. But before we create our own video, let's look around for a bit. Personally, if there are a lot of things on my screen doing different things, I tend to get overwhelmed immediately. This is why I don't like playing 4X games and why I prefer FL Studio over other DAWs. This collage of images up here, these are your presets. So that we can see them better, I'm going to maximize this window and then click and drag this separator bar here to expand that section of the window. You can see that there are a lot of presets already. If you watch my first video in this series covering every ZGE Viz effect, you might recognize some of these scenes. Interestingly, there are also presets here that aren't in the stock ZGE Viz effects. These presets are quite nice as they are, so again, if you find one that you like and you think fits for whatever purposes you're looking for, you can click continue to render and save video at the bottom and render your video with that preset. If you just like to scroll through these presets in search of one that interests you, in the top left of the window there is a drop down menu with left and right arrows you can use to scroll through the presets. The presets in this box are all the same ones that are pictured. If you took the moment during the break to browse some of the presets, by now you may have noticed that some of the presets are prepared for vertical video format. If you want to use one of these effects in a different format, in the top right corner there is a drop-down menu where you can pick from a variety of aspect ratios. Likewise, if you find one of the landscape video effects that you'd like to use in a different aspect ratio, you can change it here. Let's say, for example, you want to make a portrait video, 9:16, you will immediately notice that the text and video effects got all messed up and scrunched together. And I think for this preset, one of the effects just fully gets cut off. Let's start by bringing that element back. Over where it says foreground, there is a drop-down menu that offers various elements that will, of course, appear in the foreground of the video with left and right arrows to scroll through them. But before changing that, further to the right, there is another HSL, hue, saturation, and lightness, color picker. Then, to the right of that, there is an XY position controller. Clicking and dragging in that grid will bring the visual element back into frame. Right-clicking in here will snap the cursor to where your mouse cursor is, and then you can right-click and drag with it to move it as well. You can also control-click and drag for finer movements. Now what about the other elements? Surely you've noticed the cogs that are all up in the video preview area. When these are present, you can use them to edit the text elements. Clicking on one will open a little menu beside it and allow you to edit that text element. These parameters actually come from the HUD text effect, which I will show you later. First is the position or move tool. Clicking on it will immediately set your mouse cursor to start moving the element. You cannot move the edit icon out of frame. Right-clicking while editing these parameters will cancel the edit. Next is the rotation tool. Clicking it will immediately set your cursor to start rotating the element with the anchor point or point of origin being where the edit button is. Next is the font size or scale tool. You get the idea. You will immediately start scaling the element. Left or up is smaller, right or down is larger. The next row has your text alignments. Align left, centered, and align right. Actually, I'm going to set this comment line to center alignment for these next two parameters. This next one is the line width parameter. Use it to dictate how long you want a line to be before changing to another line, adding a line break or word wrapping, whatever you want to call it. This is how you control that. The smaller you go, it changes from affecting words to affecting each letter. If you've chosen to use line breaks in your text, the next parameter is your line height. Use it to dictate the spacing between each line. I believe this one works based on left is higher or closer together, right is lower or further apart. Lastly, there is the good old reset button. It's worth moving some of these elements around if you plan on making vertical videos, especially for places like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Actually, I think most places do the same thing. Since Shorts or Reels take up the entire screen, the description or the comments will often be at the bottom third of the screen, so you might not want to put elements down there. A couple of these presets actually take that into consideration for you. That's already about halfway through this tutorial, really. Again, if you're happy with these presets, that's really all you need. This next half will be for if you want more customization or if you want to use this to make your own unique videos. Over on the left is the sections panel. Starting off, of course, you have the song title, author, and comment section. If you have the fields auto-filled from your project info, you're fine. If you want to edit them, edit them. Just know you can only change your mind as long as you're still in the wizard window. If you select a section, erase it and press enter. If you change your mind, you can click in that section again and press Ctrl Z to undo that. If you remove a line and then close out of the wizard, it will no longer autofill from your project info, at least not from what I could see. So if you deleted this entire comment like I did because it was too long, but then you decided to keep it as a last minute thought, you're going to need to go back into your project info page and copy it from there and paste it back here. Or just retype it, of course. Next, you have your background process, not like on your computer, of course. The video element playing in the background is referred to as the background process, according to the official manual. You can click on the left or right arrows to scroll through your options, or, of course, you can click on the drop-down menu to look through them all. And golly, there are a lot of options. Again, if you watched the first video in this series, you may recognize some of these effect names. Other ones, not so much. If you don't know which one to choose, or if you don't really care, you can press the randomize button and it will randomize your background, foreground, and identification sections. To the left of these sections is a little icon. You can use this if you want to prevent a section from being randomized by the die, but it won't prevent you from manually changing it. Directly underneath the drop-down menu, you may have noticed the Find Media Online and Browse buttons. Browse, of course, will open your file explorer so that you can load your own media. Except in your usual formats, GIF, PNG, JPG, JPEG, BMP, AVI, MOV, MP4, and MKV. It is preferred to find media that is the correct aspect ratio for your video since you can't edit that here. But if you need to resize it, I will show you how later. Clicking on the Find Media Online button will bring up a new window hosting thousands of copyright-free photos and videos provided by Pexels. So you can click on their name here to open a new window with their website where you can learn more about them. To use an image or video from here, hover over it and select Use this image or Use this video, and it will immediately add it as your background element. You can also click View on Web to open the link to the image on the Pexels website in a window where you can see more information about the image. This orange button up here tells you what page you're on, and out of however many pages. You can click the arrows to change pages. Something to note about adding media using either of these methods, just like how removing your text when closing the window prevents you from undoing it and retrieving your text, adding media from these methods will effectively disable the randomize button for the background element. Whether you're trying to press it with the imported media still loaded, or even if you try changing to a different stock background, the randomize button won't work. You'll have to close and reopen the wizard to get it to work again. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use a silly video I made that is the wrong aspect ratio. The next section is the process, which means to say the post-process element. This will affect only the background element. If you scroll through these or open the drop-down menu, again, you'll notice some familiar effects. Scrolling through these effects, you can see that right next to the bar, some parameters will appear, allowing you to edit them from there. I'm going to select the audio shake parameter because now I'm going to skip down to the bottom. You may or may not have realized by now that when you're in the video template wizard, you cannot interact with FL Studio unless you close out of the wizard. If you want to check some of the audio-based elements or specify which tracks you want them to react to, at the bottom of the sections is the audio source, where you can both select an audio source from the drop-down and play and pause your song. You cannot control the playback with your spacebar here, unfortunately. Also, it should be noted that this audio source is the overall audio source for both the background process and the foreground effects. The foreground element refers to the visual element in the foreground that isn't the text information. This is usually either the audio reactive visual or the timestamp visual. Or for some elements like the song position circle, both. Again, you can use the color picker to set the color of the element, and the XY position grid to move it around. The identification section refers to the song information, of course, which you added at the top of the sections panel. Pick from a list of text effects. These effects come in groups, so the font of the title will likely not be the same font for the author or comment. Again, you can use the color picker to set the color of your text. The editor toggle will show or hide the edit buttons in the preview window. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Simple as that. If you want to create your own video using this process, set the preset to none and you'll have a blank slate to work with, limiting yourself to only what's provided here. But there's one more thing to mention. For the final layer of customization, if you truly want a unique result from this process, you can manually edit everything that you created before exporting the video. Instead of clicking the Continue to Render and Save Video button at the bottom, as mentioned before, closing the window will populate the ZGameEditor Visualizer workspace with the appropriate effects, and the video in the preview will be that of your video you've just made. So from here, you can make whatever final adjustments you want to make before exporting your video. You will see that the workspace is divided into two parts, the left side, which is all in a buffer layer, and the right side, which is not. If you look at the bottom, the buffer layer routes to an image layer at the end of the chain. These are your foreground elements. Beside that is the post-processing layer, and beside that is your background layer. You will see that since I'm using a custom image for my background, my image is loaded as an image source into the generic image layer. This won't do for wanting to resize my image, so I'm going to change it to the HUD image layer instead. Make sure to set it as image source and not post-process. That way I can scale the image up and make it crop to fit the aspect ratio. But oh, I forgot to edit my text, and now my stupid long temporary song comment doesn't fit in the frame. Well, that's fine. Earlier in the video I mentioned that the wizard uses the HUD text effects for its text. I'll just look for that to edit the text. Well, here's the audio playing layer, which is the foreground element. The HUD 3D effects set the post-process. This must be how they're moving the XY position of the element. A generic image layer with something loaded in the image source. There's a text layer here, but it's disabled, and then a drop shadow layer for all of the foreground elements. No HUD text layer. Let's look at what this item is that is loaded in the image layer. Yes, I called it an item because it is not an image. If we go over to the Add Content tab, you will notice that there are two pieces of content added, My Media and an FL Studio preset. But first, I want to go over the Text tab to show you something. The Text tab doesn't have our text in it. Neither does the HTML tab. So where is our text and the effects controlling them? That's right, they're stored in that preset. As of typing this, I did not know about this, but I may have already gone back and added this bit of information to my first video because this is quite important to know. If you load a preset into ZGameEditor Visualizer as added content, you can double click that preset and a smaller window will open containing the effects created in that preset. Let me resize this window and you can see there are 3 HUD text layers for a song title, author, and comment. And looking at the text tab in the add content, there are parameters. These are here regardless. If you added in your own text, that text is stored elsewhere. I'm not sure where, but it is still controlled here. Here you can see I can edit my text how I want it now. Unlike the template wizard window, you can still click outside and edit the ZGE Visualizer window to change those elements as well. Then once you're finished, that's the wrong URL. Then once you're finished, just close that window and there you go. Now you are truly finished. This works for any preset element that you load in with the wizard, by the way. If I open the wizard again, you will see that my changes are all still retained. But now I want to change the background element to one of their provided ones. I can select it, close the window, and you will see that it was added in the Contents tab, where I can open it and edit it however I might desire. It was actually like this that I realized that some of the effects that weren't obviously stock effects are still ZGameEditor Visualizer presets constructed using ZGE Viz elements and their own media they have stored in your folders. Knowing this, you can even change some of these elements within their presets as well. With your minimal effort video completed, just press export video and actually export your video, and you have your finished video. Nice, sweet, quick, and to the point. By the way, throughout this video, I've been saying minimal effort a lot. I just want to clarify that, of course, I'm not saying that to diminish the quality of your video by choosing to use the video template wizard. I am simply stating that this is a quick and easy method of using ZGameEditor Visualizer to produce a video. Whereas most of the video production time will go into adding all of these effects, fine-tuning them, and potentially adding automation and such. This method provides a simpler option which truly requires far less effort than normal, and this effort will be far more evident come the next video where I will be talking more in depth about everyone's favorite topic, buffer layers. Until then, if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, leaving a like is the easiest way to express your gratitude. Otherwise, feel free to dislike it if you choose to. If you're new here, welcome. Subscribe if you would like to follow my music. I'd say so that you can be notified of the next video in this series, but I've most likely gone and scheduled these an hour apart if I did the thing that I plan on doing, but I don't want to cram them too closely together and spam my current subscribers with the series. However, that being said, you may already be aware of the topics of the other videos in this series, and if there's something that I missed or something about ZGameEditor Visualizer or maybe FL Studio that you would like me to go over, feel free to leave your suggestion in the comments and subscribe to be notified when that video is released. This is óÓòò, aka Day Music, and I will see you all next time.